Can we talk a little bit about transportation here in, we're in Roxbury,
Yep.
and there are a lot of buses going by. And do you have any opinion on public transportation in this neighborhood in particular?
Well, it's critical, and Dudley really is one of these linchpins that connects, Roxbury to the downtown, the South End, but also to Dorchester, to Jamaica Plain. So it's a critical point. I think the piece we have to wrestle with is making bus rapid transit work in a really effective way. I think we've obviously made some progress on it, but I think we have a ways to go. And some of this is lack of vision, but another part of it is having really old city streets and a really old layout that goes back a long way. But we still have to figure out how to tackle that. How do we bring signalization into the mix? How do we really make these lanes rapid? And the other piece is, how do we get the right types of buses so that we're not packing people in like sardines and discouraging people from using the bus?
Yeah, no, that's true. And there were some things that I mentioned in my story that the mayor can't fix. I mean, there's only so much the mayor can do for the MBTA. Do you want to talk about some of the things you can do as mayor and some of the things you just don't have a lot of control over?
Yeah, I think we need to borrow a page from Mike Ross's book, Have an Urban Caucus, where you've got the mayor of Somerville, and the city manager and mayor of Cambridge, and the mayor of Boston going up to the Beacon Hill together to lobby for infrastructure investment. I think when we talk about a regional plan for job creation, we can't forget public transportation and housing in that mix. And then I think there's another piece here about building consensus to push on realistic projects. I would love to see more light rail, and I'm open to anybody who's got a plan on how we could finance it. But when we look at the sort of prohibitive funding climate, I think we've got to push for more investment in bus rapid transit, DMU cars on commuter rail lines, which could have smaller cars making runs on the sort of inner core stops and turn a commuter rail line into a subway in a sense. And those are the types of investments, along with expanding hours on the existing infrastructure. If we prioritize these pieces, I think we can make some headway.
Okay, great. So switching over to the communities of color and the next story I'm working on, you're spending a lot of time in Roxbury, Dorchester, Mattapan, Rosendale. Do you want to talk a little bit about why?
Yeah, I think a lot of it just has to do with what happens in the preliminary. You look at the areas where you didn't do well, and you look at the areas, where your opponent didn't do well, and you head for those areas because that's where you're going to find a lot of undecided voters. So I think sometimes pundits have made a lot about it in terms of Irish politicians and communities of color, and really it's just about that classic Boston politics. You go where the undecided voters are, and that's what we've been doing. And so that's a lot of time in communities of color, but also a lot of time in some other neighborhoods that people may not be paying attention to. The downtown, we've been spending a lot of time downtown. Hyde Park. Spend a lot of time in Hyde Park, so which really is the meeting point. I mean, Hyde Park is a neighborhood that is majority people of color, and I think a lot of folks who don't know Boston really well don't realize that. But so we're going right now where the voters are undecided, and we're trying to make our best case.
All right, good. What are the last messages you want people to hear about you in this final week? Last thoughts or takeaway messages about you?
The same message I've had from the start. Our future starts with our schools. We're going to have a bold leader with a bold vision who's going to take on tough battles, make hard decisions to change our schools, but also recognize that connects to everything. That connects to safe and healthy neighborhoods, to a stronger economy, how we put a good jobs plan in place, an economic development plan for communities of color, and other pieces as well. A bold arts agenda is going to be tied in part to our schools. A real effort on public transportation. To elevate quality of life. All of this is connected at the end of the day, and I think the connecting point are the Boston Public Schools.
All right, great. Thanks, John.
Thanks.